And we're live. We're live with Weston Martinez. This is Chris Miller. This is another little installment just to bring y'all some interesting factoids and some things. We want to discuss what's going on with the governor's recent announcement. Some people calling it a step in the right direction. Some people calling it not a step at all. Some people calling it a step backwards. Um, I see it as kind of stagnant. What do you see, Weston?
I think that what we see right now is you've got people in all levels of government that are trying to walk through the. It's like walking in the ocean. You can't see nothing. They're just trying to gingerly drag their feet on the bottom so they can see what's going on. I think today some of the moves they did, I think were bold, but also didn't go far enough. Um, giving some clear direction that state parks are going to be open on Monday is great, but telling everybody you got to have a mask if you're out in the middle of Big Bend, I don't, I don't know that. I mean, how do you police that? So I think there's a couple of different things going on there. I think the children, I have 5 children, so they very much wanted to know what the governor was going to say about people going to school, and so school being closed down for the rest of the year, I think highlights the
Mm,
case that conservatives have been making for years that we need to do something different with our public education system. We want to educate our children, but we need to do something differently. So now, how many? We've gone several months. We're going a long period of time that um, the level of education that our children were getting is not the same, but they're still testing. And I mean, all my kids are in GT and pre AP, and they're all rocking through their courses. In fact, they're
right.
getting it quicker than they would be at school.
I was going to say the same thing. Actually, we completed all of my son's assignments. We completed the very first day they were assigned, and then we've been using every day to actually just follow up and brush up and really touch upon those skills. And then some things that we knew that he was lacking, and we went and touched back up on those things. And I've got him writing a lot, reading a lot, and doing a lot of interactive things. And the funny thing about it is, I feel like he might be learning more now about the world and about you know, I mean, I'm not saying I'm a better teacher than his teacher was. He's got a great teacher, but um, at the same time, he's learning a lot, and he seems to be processing a lot. His recall is very good, very good. And now is when we used to pick him up from school, and we would ask him, "Hey, what'd you learn in school today?" He'd always say, "I don't remember." But now, like whenever his mom gets home from school, because she's essential services, she gets home from school, and she asks him, "What did you learn today?" He can recall his day very well. I don't know if it's because it's more fun. I don't know. I mean, because we do hang out, but we still get a lot of learning done. I don't know. It's an interesting thing to think about. I'm gonna be honest with you though. I like my job that I had. I'd like for him to go back to school. I love my son to the ends of the earth and even beyond. But he tells me every day also that he's missing school. He's missing his friends. And he's missing that experience, and that kind of sucks. To hear him say that, and when he writes that down in his little journal that we have him doing, that's one
Well,
thing to think about.
and the other part of it is that I visited personally with Newt Gingrich a couple of times, and one of the things that we talked about was fixing the education system. And we talked about he made a comment that adolescence was created in a modern era when people didn't have the opportunity to take young adults, children, teenagers, and go
Hmm.
put them in an apprenticeship. You
Right.
know, when George Washington was 9, 10 years old, he went to go do something, or he went to go learn a trade. And so I think that, right now, our children, our parents are actually raising their children. You know that this is the first March since 2002 where we've had no shootings in a school in America.
That's interesting.
Now,
That's
why is that? It's because parents are actually being forced to parent, and we don't hear about mass crime shooting sprees at people's houses.
right. Exactly.
Maybe
I
in
was going to say that same
maybe in
thing to echo
Detroit,
that.
but
Well, or Chicago. I mean, but to echo that, yeah, we're not seeing um, a huge uptick in violence at home, and so that's an interesting thing to notate is that while there's things that are happening that people don't like, there are some things that can be divulged from this that are beneficial. in the sense that we do have an opportunity to teach our children, and not just teach them things that they're learning in the school system that we have grown to loathe so much anyway. We've just, I can't tell you, and you've been to a lot of these conferences and meetings where we were complaining about the school system and the curriculum. Well, now they're not getting that curriculum. They're actually getting a chance to get the curriculum that we want to instill in them. So I think that we should take advantage of that. I mean, I've been taking advantage of it with my son. We've been going out. We've been learning about nature. We've been learning about. I mean, my son. I'm sure my wife has posted it, but my son, for the first time, he cut the grass yesterday. He's 7 years old. He'll be 8 next month, but he cut the grass by himself yesterday. And he blew off the sidewalk and everything with the big backpack blower. And I think it's a good time for us to actually teach our children how to live, how to not just get along, go along, but how to actually thrive as human beings. We've worked out in this garden over here. We got asparagus growing. We got a wine, like a little vineyard growing. We got all sorts of stuff growing over here. And these children have been growing up the wrong way lately. They've been growing up too fast in a desensitized state, locked in this state of anger and fear and depression. And now we have this perfect chance to reorganize our lives and to refocus our children's mindset on what really matters. Get them back into family matters and things of the world that actually matter. Get them back into God and Jesus and in the Bible. Get them back get them back outside. Don't just let your kids sit inside and play video games. I'm gonna have to get mine out here. I let him play his little Pokemon for a couple minutes, but I'm about to get him back out here after we do this show. But it's just funny that people are looking at this from the wrong direction. They're looking at it as not the opportunity that it actually is. We've been given. We as Americans, we're normally good about seeing the opportunities and silver linings. I don't know what's happening right now. I mean, people need to get out.
Well, I think people are not motivated right now by freedom. They're motivated by fear. And our country needs to get back to being motivated by freedom. And
Right.
And that's where, people like you and myself and others, we need to, carry that banner, carry that flag to let people know how they can live, what they can do, and make sure that they know that we can actually, take back our country regardless of what state it's in. And that's where we have to organize. Just yesterday there was a good group of people that went and protested on the lawn of the governor's steps here in Austin, asking for Texas to be let open. And today this press conference, where they went there and they talked about how they put some business folks together to actually, look at how they open this up as quickly as possible in their eyes, and it's a difficult task that they have, but it's also a simple task that they have. What do you want? Do you want to take back your country, or do you want to let it slide? I put up the comment about, if the government came and told you couldn't read your Bible, what would you do?
Yeah, I saw that.
And
I got pissed immediately.
Well, and it struck a nerve with some people, but regretfully, I always look at the people that don't vote, the people that don't engage, the people that are already lulled to sleep, and those folks and how they are, they think it's never going to come to their front door.
And that's why we're in the situation we're in.
Go back to the Israelites. The angel of death came to everybody's door.
Right.
And for all you liberals out there that think that government is the answer, please.
Government's never been the answer.
They can't even. Go ahead.
Look at what happened in Katrina. Look at what happened at Hurricane Harvey. It wasn't the government that helped anybody. It was the citizen army that went there, the citizen navy that went there. It was people that are not even from there, but just Americans that came to the aid of other Americans. Now the question is, when we are fighting the ultimate enemy, which would be, so many people are seeing this and not realizing this, but it could end up being our government. And it's not the government that we see, but the government that we don't see, that we would end up fighting. And what would happen is that we would go about fighting this unseen government. And are we going to come to each other's aid as neighbors and as citizens and as brothers and sisters of America? Are we going to do that? Because it seems to me that we're pretty much split between order takers, and dissenters. And once one side thinks the other one should just sit down and shut up and take whatever's coming, and the other side thinks that they're not about that. And I'm be honest with you, I'm
Right.
not about that type of life, man. I'm not about just waiting to see what the government's going to do to me next. That's
Yeah,
not
I'm
how
not
it's
going to be
supposed
a
to be.
caged lion.
Yeah, exactly. We're not made for that. Nobody,
Right.
we're not meant to sit here and wait. Jesus didn't sit here and wait. When it came to him, he was ready to take it, but he didn't sit there and wait. He went out to the people and to the masses, and he preached the gospel. He preached what was to be the good news. You know,
Well, and that's the. Go ahead.
no, you're good. Go ahead.
No, that's absolutely true, and that's why, when we talk to people, you know, do they believe in absolute truth, or are they like the Chinese that believe you can just report whatever numbers you want, and then come out 2 months later and hey, we had a lot more deaths than we originally reported. So I mean, there is, in my opinion, China has shot. China
The,
has
the
already
first shot.
started the second Cold War.
Oh,
We're in a
I believe.
Cold War right now with China.
Yeah, I believe
And
it's a warm war, brother.
well, I agree, but so many people are afraid of, you know, bullets and bombs.
Well,
Um,
now the bullets and bombs are coming in land deals and packages of fentanyl. So
well,
people
and
are dying.
that's where we as a country, you know, I had the privilege of talking to one of Ronald Reagan's economists, and told me about the Berlin Wall coming down, and they said once they made the decision that they were going to destabilize the currency, that once that happened, that all the cards started to fall in place, and nobody had, and everything worked. And I think that as much as a bullet to bullet war would have ramifications, I
Mm.
think that there's more of a market correction that Trump can help oversee against China. I mean, he talked the other day about the World Trade Organization and how we never win any lawsuits at the World Trade Organization. And just recently, we won several in the billions
Hmm.
of dollars. So, President Obama, uh, he went on the apology tour for 8 years. And I think Trump and people like us, we're on the take it back tour. And this is where we got to go get our ball out of that yard, fight that dog chained up on the leash,
Right,
and we got to
Sandlot
go
style.
and go get it. If the dog come to get us, that's fine.
You kick it
We
straight in
might
the
get
nose,
bit.
man.
We might get bit, but we ain't gonna die.
Right.
And even with, I mentioned to you before the show, with some of the stuff that's going on with the Chinese. And I know you want to talk about it some more later on, but they're over there talking about things, like black people are responsible for coronavirus. McDonald's had to issue an apology to black people over there because they were saying that they were Chinese government was trying to say they were responsible for um, producing and promulgating the coronavirus. So I mean,
And
even New
this
York,
just happened, right?
yeah, even New York Times came out with it. I think I sent you that. Can you see it on your screen? African nations, U.S.
Yep.
decry racism against blacks in China, straight out of Johannesburg. And so
Yep.
it's very, you can't
African
make this
officials.
stuff up.
Yep.
Um,
African officials are confronting China publicly and in private over racist mistreatment of Africans in the Chinese city of Guangzhou. And the U.S. says African Americans have been targeted too. Some Africans in the commercial hub have reported being evicted or discriminated against amid coronavirus fears. And the U.S. Embassy security alert on Saturday said that police ordered bars and restaurants not to serve clients who appeared to be African origin. And local officials have launched mandatory testing and self quarantine for anyone with African contacts. Straight out of Johannesburg, it's the same.
yeah. So I mean, come on now. I mean, like I said, McDonald's had to issue an apology, basically, and even the China Society publication, one of their headlines is U.S. warns African Americans to avoid the Gansu after reports that black people are being targeted in coronavirus clampdown. And again, black people are reported to have been evicted
Hmm.
from hotels and flats and denied service in restaurants in southern metropolis. No, wait, I said southern metropolis. I didn't say southern Mississippi. So, you know, where are the liberals? Where are the liberals out there decrying this racism?
Well, they can't bank off of that, so they're not going to say anything about it. Just like they couldn't
Where's
bank
Jesse
off of,
Jackson? I've not
yeah,
seen Jesse Jackson
Jesse
anywhere.
Jackson, Al Sharpton. They, I don't even know what to
Live
say
from
about that.
Bucky's, ladies and gentlemen, my
Right?
unofficial headquarters.
Think about it. They couldn't get their green. They got a ripper tearing their green screen, so they can't project it like they're in China, trying to protect black folks. And
Yeah,
they have no vested interest in black folks on other continents, so they ain't got nothing to say about it. And the funny thing is, if it's not making them any money, then it's not worth their time. And I've always said this: Al Sharpton is a charlatan, man. He's a con man, and
they're
as my grandfather would have,
extortionists.
yeah, as my grandfather would have said, he's a charlatan. He's a how I forget what the word he used to say, but basically he's a boondoggler. And the funny thing about all this is that nobody's paying attention to what China's been doing for so long that they've used our own tactics against us. And these are tactics that have come with the 200, 400 years of America being established. But the funny thing is, um, while China's doing these things and being racist towards Africans in their own country, they're actually going into Africa claiming they're doing humanitarian missions and doing things like that. But all they're doing is buying up cheap land and establishing military bases in Africa, in places like Djibouti. And people don't understand that. And
What you talking about, Willis?
yeah, in Djibouti. And it's
What you
the
talking
funny
about, Willis?
the funny thing is that when we look at what's really happening here, China's been heavy-handed on a real smooth tip lately. They've been going, and even in Argentina, I believe they've been trying to set up the southernmost, I think it's the southernmost uh, observation point or something, or launch point in the Western Hemisphere.
Yeah,
Um, and people have not been paying attention to China. I don't know why. I think that they have developed that they when Nixon opened the doors, and actually after World War II, when they opened the doors to China, but when Nixon went over there and really opened the doors to China, they actually they started to adopt a lot of our economic tendencies with Mao Zedong. He put together capitalism and communism in the same framework, and they grew exponentially in that time. Every city that they built in the past 40 years has over 20 million people in it. Some over 100 million. People don't understand that these cities, they're packed. They have 10 to 15 cities at least with over 100 million, over 10 to 20 million people in them, and
they
they
just
go
have
up.
crews. They just have construction companies just go and just build
Oh yeah,
cities and then move to
they
the
have
next city.
they have cities that could fit 10 to 20 million people in them with nobody in them, with
Right.
zero people in them. And people don't understand where this is all going. Why they call China dumb. They said they're ignorant. They said they were ridiculous for spending um, a large percentage of their GDP on these ghost cities. But now we're starting to see that there's going to be a huge shift to the east. If we're not careful, we will lose everything that we built in a matter of months. We can lose that because the shift has already happened monetarily. They own $786 billion worth of American Treasury bonds. That's more than any other country on the planet. They've been buying up all the gold. They've been devaluing their currency in order to deflate ours. And
Absolutely.
what they've been doing is they've been positioning themselves for the long con and the big take. And we have not been paying attention to the slippery snake that is the CCP party. And I don't care what anybody says. China's never been good to us. Even their own people call them a-holes. I don't know if you ever saw that dude. He was like, "Don't trust China, China a-hole." But
Well,
that's
and
it's a
that's where I hope that you know we start holding people accountable. Hold every elected official accountable. I don't care who it is. I don't care if they've done good in the past. I don't care, what are they doing now, and what are they going to do with a scenario like this? And that's why even just us pushing things around, gets people to stop and think about what's happening. So, but I know we want to do this quick show and just kind of let people know what's happening on a Friday and what we got going on. And I know You've been sponsoring a couple of my shows. Appreciate that. We've been asking people to watch your show as well, so it's a good thing.
Indeed.
And as we move forward, y'all out there watching right now, you need to share this video and let people know that we have more upcoming events where we're going to be bringing you the truth. And we'll tell you the truth whether you like it or not. It's going to make some people mad, but that's okay. I'm not here to make you happy. Yeah, that's right. Don't tread on me. And and so, just keep on doing what you're doing. We got other small businesses we're going to highlight this week, and we highlighted Little Muse Catering this last week. They got some good stuff going on, and we're going to do a broadcast later on, and let people know what else. Go a little more in depth on a couple of issues with the governor, but call your elected official. Call every elected official that you are under, and remind them of two things. Number one,
they work.
It is the people's government, not the government's people.
Right.
And number two, they better be listening to their boss, or they're going to be fired.
You get fired. You're fired. You're
right.
Fired.
Get out of here.
I wish he would say. Why has Trump not said that not once? He's been doing all this other stuff. I just want to hear that one thing. You're fired.
He's been saying back every press conference.
Right. I mean, he just wants to be like, "Oh, you fake news, China. It comes from China. China. You're fired."
Exactly.
So I mean, and I want to talk about this this fact that they're telling everybody that it's mandatory to wear masks now. That's stupid. I'll say
that's urban legend.
For several different reasons, it's stupid because masks don't protect against.
But it's not. But it's not even what it says. It's not even what it says.
What do you mean?
What they say is that they want you to wear a mask if you cannot maintain social distancing. Really? I'm gonna go. Y'all want to buy some shirts? Stay 6 feet away from me. I got them for sale right now.
I mean, how are they going to enforce this? Everybody needs to wear masks when they don't even sell masks anymore. Where are you gonna find a mask at? That's just another stay-at-home order wrapped and shrouded in a mask order. You can't tell people they can't go out if they can't wear a mask. If they can't find a mask, they have to stay in. That's crap. Don't listen to that because that's crap.
And it's also, there's all kinds of exceptions. Tons of exceptions if you're working outside.
Oh yeah, if you're
walking at the park.
What was the one that said if you're in a car if you're in a car with people that live with you, how they to know who lives with you?
Yeah, how are they gonna know?
Oh wait a minute, they don't look like they live together. Hold on.
Right. So here, watch this. Not required under the following circumstances: when exercising outside or engaging in physical activity, while driving alone or with passengers who are part of the same household as the driver, when doing so poses a greater mental or physical.
What is that?
That's
the key right there.
That's exactly it.
That's the key.
Notice they waited till number 3 to tell the truth.
Safety, right? Yeah.
While pumping gas or operating equipment.
Why would they not want you to wear it when you're pumping gas? Like, what? Okay.
I guess I don't know. And then while in a building or engaged in an activity that requires security, surveillance, or screening, like at a bank.
Now that makes sense. That makes sense because, but this the whole thing is that there's tons of places that are like that where you shouldn't be wearing a mask because people need to see your face. And
guess what else they added?
What's that?
They also added, you're not required to wear a mask while sorry, I can't even say it.
What is it?
While consuming food or drink. They really think that people are that stupid. And the sad thing is, some of them are.
You're gonna see a whole bunch of mouth holes with food all around them. The people that forgot to read that. Yeah, we cut the nose hole out. A bunch of people that forgot to read this or never got a chance to read this you're gonna have spaghetti stains and manwich all over their face.
Absolutely.
Like, what happened to you? You're gonna see a bunch of zombies running around.
That's right. I eat my mask on.
Right.
Eating with my mask on.
We laugh about this, but there's that old adage that says there's a sign that was made. There's one sign for every dummy. So this is their sign, and this is the thing that they have to say, because there's somebody out there will do that, and this is the reason that they have to say these things. Much as we like to think that people are smart, nah, not everybody.
Well, it's like that guy that was the naked biker about 8 years ago, 10 years ago.
Oh,
They tried to pass an ordinance requiring um, uh, strips strip joints to have tags on the people and
tassels.
regulate the clothing and stuff like that. I don't go into
Uh,
strip clubs, but I remember the legislation because I ran for city council way back then. And and so they were, in fairness, they were trying to kind of cut down on crime inside of those places. And there's a lot of crime that happens associated with those things. But so this guy, he read the law, and all it required was a half inch of cloth over your crotch, and that's all you had to have clothed. So this dude was riding his bicycle all around town, and he was crazy. I mean, he was crazy like a fox, not like Bucky, crazy like a
right,
fox.
crazy like a fox.
And so they would, you Google it, man, the naked Bear County Rider or something like that, and the guy finally actually got killed or something, or yeah, he died riding his bike naked, and but he
Like,
was within the letter of the law. So you know, these liberals, they're so ignorant, and unfortunately, so many people, they just follow and quit being a follower. So
yeah,
all right, man. Well, it's been fun. It always is. We got to do it again.
indeed.
We'll do some next week for sure. And
Yep.
y'all keep on tuning in to Chris Miller Show. Check mine out once in a while, and we're going to do some more combined events. And once we get out of the corona, we're going to
the Rona.
We're going to chew you out.
Get out of that Rona.
Exactly.
Word. Well, God bless you, man. It's great to have you. We're going to do this again soon. Y'all tune in to the Chris Miller Show tomorrow night at 11 p.m. If you're on 9:30 a.m. The Answer. You can also go to chrismillershow.com. Remember, Weston works for you. And y'all keep it locked. Keep it up.
People over politics.
Hashtag people over politics. All right, y'all. Peace.